My marker and clearance lights are clean, functional, and amber in color. I'll also check both my low and high beams are clean and functional. I'll also check that my left and right turn signal are clean, functional, and amber in color. I will separately check my four-way flashers are clean, functional, and amber in color. I would check both of my side reflectors are clean, functional, amber in color, and not damaged. Clean, functional, amber in color, not damaged. I will look on the ground and check that there are no puddles. Alternator is belt driven and mounted securely, not damaged. Water pump is belt driven, mounted securely, not damaged or leaking. Belts have no more than 3/4 inch play. They are not cracked or frayed. Air compressor is gear driven, mounted securely, not damaged or leaking air. Power steering pump is gear driven, mounted securely and not damaged or leaking. Looking for leaks side and bottom of the engine and transmission. No puddles on the ground. Hoses are in good condition, not leaking, with no abrasions, bumps, or cuts. Oil dipstick. I will check the oil dipstick. Oil level is above the refill mark. Coolant is at the proper level, full, and there are no leaks. Power steering fluid above the refill mark. There are no leaks. Steering box securely mounted, not leaking. Looking for any missing nuts or bolts. Power steering hose. Power steering hoses not leaking, no abrasions, bumps, or cuts. Steering linkage. All connecting links, arms, rods from the steering box to the wheel are not worn or cracked. Checking that all joints and sockets are not worn or loose, and that there are no missing castle nuts, bolts, or cotter keys. No missing shifted, cracked, or broken leaf springs. Both front and back leaf spring mounts are not bent, broken, or cracked. No missing or damaged bushings. The U-bolts are not broken or loose and are not missing any nuts. Shock absorber is secured. Shock absorber is secure and there are no leaks. Brake hose, no abrasions, bumps, or cuts. Hose and coupling are not leaking air. Brake chamber not cracked, dented, or leaking air. Mounted securely. No loose or missing clamps. Slack adjuster. Push rod is not bent, broken, or cracked. No loose or missing parts. Push rod should not move more than 1 inch when pulled by hand with the brakes released. Brake drum no cracks, dents, or holes, no loose or missing bolts. I am checking for any oil or grease. That's the brake drum. Also checking the brake lining. Should not be worn dangerously thin, which is this. Brake lining, brake drum. Check the brake lining. It should not be worn dangerously thin. Inside and outside of the rim, not damaged or bent. No welding repairs. All bolt holes are not cracked or distorted. Tread in both sidewalls of the tire have no cuts, bulges, or abrasions. Tread is worn evenly and has a minimum depth of 4/32 of an inch. Use a tire gauge to check for proper inflation of 100 psi or manufacturer specs. The valve stem is not broken or damaged and has a cap. Obviously this one doesn't have a cap. Lug nuts are present, free of cracks and distortions. No signs of looseness such as rust, trails, or shiny threads. Hub oil seal is not leaking. Oil level is adequate. This is the hub oil seal right here. This is the oil level you can check. Side of vehicle, mirrors and brackets not damaged and are mounted securely with no loose fittings. I will check the door is not damaged and that it opens, closes properly from the outside. Hinges should be secured with seals intact. Marker light, left turn signal, and four-way flashers are clean, functional, amber. Would also check the right turn signal. Depth tank is secure, cap is tight, no leaks from tank or lines. The level adequate, at least a 1/8 tank. Fuel tank is over here. Fuel tank is secure, cap is tight, no leaks from tank or lines. Drive shaft is not bent, broken, or cracked. Couplings should be secure and free of foreign objects. Exhaust system, no cracks, holes, dents, or signs of leaks such as rust or carbon soot. Connected tightly and mounted securely. Frame and cross members, no cracks, illegal welds, holes, or other damage. Suspension, drive axle, torque arm not damaged and mounted securely. Spring mount is not bent, broken, or cracked. Spring mount is right here. Better view. Spring mount is not bent, broken, or cracked. No damaged bushings or missing bolts. It is mounted securely. Leaf spring is not bent, broken, or cracked, not shifted. U-bolts not broken or loose, not missing any nuts. Airbag, no abrasions, bumps, or cuts, no air leaks, securely mounted to the frame and axle. Shock absorber, secure, and there are no leaks. Brake hose, no abrasions, bumps, or cuts. Hose and couplings are not leaking. Brake chamber is not cracked, dented, or leaking air. Is mounted securely. No loose or missing clamps. Slack adjuster and push rod is not bent, broken, or cracked. No loose or missing parts. Push rod should not move more than 1 inch when pulled by hand with the brakes released. Brake drum, no cracks, dents, or holes, no loose or missing bolts. I am checking for any oil or grease. Brake lining should not be worn, dangerously thin. Inside and outside of both rims are not damaged or bent. No welding repairs, and all bolt holes are not cracked or distorted. Tread and sidewalls of both tires have no cuts, bulges, or abrasions. Both treads are worn evenly and have a minimum depth of 2 out of 32 of an inch. I will use a tire gauge to check with proper inflation, 100 psi or manufacturer specs on both tires. Both valve stems are not broken or damaged and have a cap. Check the spacing between the tires for objects. The tires are not touching. Lug nuts present, free of cracks and distortions. Show no signs of looseness such as rust, trail, or shiny threads. The axle seal is not this. This is a hub oil seal. It's on the back side of this, on the back tire by the axle, and you check the axle seals are not leaking. Splash guards, and mud flaps not damaged and mounted securely. Tail lights and reflectors are clean, functional, and red in color. Left and right red turn signals, clean and functional. Four-way flashers, brake lights, red and functioning. Backing light, clean and functional. These two are both the air hoses. The green one is electrical line. Air hoses, no cuts, bulges, or abrasions. Hose and coupling, not leaking air and are secure at both ends. Electrical lines are not cut or spliced. The lines are not tangled, pinched, or dragging against tractor parts. Air and electrical connections are sealed and in good condition. Glad hands. Glad hands are locked in place, free of damage and leaks. Electrical plug is firmly seated and locked in place on both ends. Electrical plug, these are glad hands, locked in place on both ends. That's the other end. The catwalk is solid, clear of objects, and securely bolted to the frame. The steps leading to the cab. Entry and catwalk are solid, clear of objects, and securely bolted to the frame. Apron, which is up here, if you guys don't know. Up there, that's the fifth wheel. That's the apron above it. Apron is not bent, broken, or cracked. Trailer is lying flat on the skid plate with no visible gap. Proper lubrication of the skid plate, securely mounted to the platform. All bolts and pins secure, not missing. Skid plate, also known as fifth wheel. Make sure it's properly lubricated. Looking for loose or missing mounting bolts, brackets, clamps, or nuts. That skips them. The release arm is in engaged position. That's the release arm right there. Checking the platform and slide for breaks or cracks. Platform, slide. Securely mounted. Looking for loose, missing mounting bolts, brackets, clamps, or nuts. All right here. This one doesn't have these, but it would be like in this area towards the fifth wheel, like up here. Look for loose or missing lock pins in the slide, fully engaged. Air hose, no cuts, bulges, or abrasions, no leaks. Fifth wheel is positioned properly so that the tractor frame will clear the landing gear during turns. Look into the throat of the fifth wheel. The locking jaws are fully closed around the kingpin and holding it in place. Kingpin is not bent or damaged. I'm going to do the front of the trailer. We'll check the header board for cracks, bulges, or holes. Clearance lights way up there, both sides, are clean and functional in amber. Now we're doing the side of the trailer. All marker lights on the side are clean, functional, and amber. All DOT tape, marker lights, DOT tape. Some more lights up there, down there. All marker lights on the side are clean, functional, amber. All DOT tape in good condition, and amber reflectors clean and not cracked. Landing gear is fully raised, no missing parts. No missing parts, and the support frame and pads are not damaged. Crank handle is secure. Frame, cross members, and floor have no cracks, broken welds, holes, or other damage. This is the cross members, the floor, the frame. walk down here. Marker light. Left turn signal and four-way flashers are clean, functional, and amber. I would also check the right turn signal, which is on the other side of the trailer in the middle. I come down here. Locking pin. Locking pins are locked in place and release arm is secure. Locking pin, one here, other one right here. This is the release arm. The torque rod is not bent, broken, or cracked, and securely mounted. No missing, shifted, cracked, or broken leaf springs. Leaf springs right there. This thing right here. Front and back spring mounts not cracked or broken. The other one's in the very back there, behind all that stuff back here. U-bolts. These are the U-bolts right here. These two. U-bolts are not broken or loose and not missing any nuts. This is the brake hose right here. We check the brake hose has no abrasions, bumps, or cuts. Hose and couplings are not leaking air. Brake chamber is not leaking, cracked, or dented, and is mounted securely. There are no loose or missing clamps. These are the clamps right here. Slack adjuster and push rod. The slack adjuster and push rod is not bent, broken, or cracked. No loose or missing parts. The push rod should not move more than 1 inch when pulled by hand with the brakes released. Brake drum. There are no cracks, dents, or holes. No loose or missing bolts. I am checking for any oil or grease. That's the brake drum right there. That's the brake lining. The brake lining should not be worn dangerously thin. Alright. Inside and outside of both rims are not damaged or bent. No weld repairs. All bolt holes are not cracked or distorted. Tread of both tires, no cuts, bulges, or abrasions. Tread and sidewalls of both tires, no cuts, abrasions, or abrasions. Both treads are worn evenly and have a minimum depth of 2/32 of an inch. A tire gauge we use to check for proper inflation of 100 psi or manufacturer specs on both tires. Both valve stems are not broken or damaged and have a cap. I would check the spacing between the tires for objects, and the tires are not touching. Lug nuts present, free of cracks and distortions. No signs of looseness such as rust, trails, or shiny threads. Hub oil seal is not leaking and oil level is adequate. Hub oil seal. Mud flap is not damaged and mounted securely. Rear trailer now. You want to start right here on the very corner. Tail lights, identification lights, all marker lights, including the one on the side of the rear, are clean, functional, red in color. Left and right, red turn signals, clean and functional. Four-way flashers, brake lights are functioning. Reflector tape and red reflectors in good condition. Also one up here. The door is not damaged. The door opens, closes, and latches properly.